Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Saviryam Karvavahe Tejasvinavaditamastu ma Vidvishavahe. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We're also going to play one shloka written by Ganpati Muni, which is one of the verses, the 40 verses he wrote, exalting and praising the qualities of the realized soul, his own Guru Ramana Maharshi.
Antaryascha bahirvidhutatimiram jyotirmayam shashvatam dhanam prapya virajate vinamatam ajnanamunmulayan Pashyan vishwamapidamullasatiyo Vishwasya pare paraha Tasmai Shri Ramanaya Lokagurave Shokasya Hantre Namaha Tasmai Shri Ramanaya Lokagurave Shokasya Hantre Namaha.
Marilu, would you like to read question number 25?
What is wisdom insight? Remaining quiet is what is called wisdom insight. To remain quiet is to resolve the mind in the self. Telepathy, knowing past, present, and future happenings, and clairvoyance do not constitute wisdom insight.
So, jnana-drsti, the vision of knowledge. Jnana-drsti can be transliterated as vision of the knowledge, or the insight into that knowledge. And remaining quiet is the most difficult part, because the mind is a constantly jabbering phenomenon instrument. So when we remain quiet, then only the mind gets dissolved into the self eventually. And none of the other mental activities of external sensory perceptions or any other telepathy, reading one's mind through your mind, or getting into seeing other objects by clairvoyance, all that does not help. All that is not taking us closer to the self. They do not contribute towards jnana-drsti. There is no need knowing the past or the present or the future. Ramana Maharshi used to steer us away from even consulting for any astrological things. He would say astrology affects those who dabble into it. It doesn't affect you. Because the moment we dabble into it, we become limited again. We are bringing ourselves closer to the worldly phenomenon. We are padding it up. We are gathering more mass towards the worldly thing. Because when I try to know my future, it can only relate to the world, to the worldly existence of this body. And therefore there's no need to do that. You all know a little bit about Ramana Maharshi, or just think about it. It only happens when we are ripe. It happened to Bhagwan when he was born as Venkataraman Iyer in that particular life, after he had gone through the process of his spiritual enlightenment, had already arrived at a certain point in the previous births, that he would be born as Dakshinamurti and would remain silent for 12 years from the age of 16 to 28. We were full of gibberish when we were 16 or 18, 17. We could not have remained quiet. Even now we don't remain quiet. And he remained quiet for 12 years from that. So this jnana-drsti, the insight of wisdom, can only come to us over a long period of very strong devotion. That's all we need. We don't need knowledge. Knowledge will emerge from our devotion. Clarity will emerge from the adherence to our devotion. Unwavering devotion would definitely bring about that clarity, that knowledge that can be called jnana-drsti. There's no other way. And that's a shortcut for us. There's nothing to be gained, there's nothing that we can lose. We only have to know that the fallacy that I have not arrived yet should be removed. So remaining quiet is what is called wisdom, insight, jnana-drsti. To remain quiet is to resolve the mind in the self. Telepathy, knowing past, present, and future happenings, and clairvoyance do not constitute wisdom, insight.
What is the relation between desirelessness and wisdom? Desirelessness is wisdom. The two are not different. They are the same. Desirelessness is refraining from turning the mind towards any object. Wisdom means the appearance of no object. In other words, not seeking what is other than the self is detachment or desirelessness. Not leaving the self is wisdom.
Thank you, Francis. It sounds so simple, and think, where else would you have read or found the distinction between wisdom and desirelessness? Not seeking what is other than the self is detachment. Not leaving the self is wisdom. What a subtle distinction, what a powerful distinction. Always staying with the self is wisdom. So we should, at least in this life, strive to be desireless, to cultivate a sense of desirelessness. Desirelessness of objects around us. That's why sometimes it's good to go away from the activity of our own world. Only a very small population of the world lives with this kind of luxury that we all live with. More than 80% of the population doesn't live with the kind of luxury we all are accustomed to on a daily basis. So to withdraw ourselves from our daily needs is the first step towards desirelessness. Reducing our dependency on things that I'm so accustomed to can bring me closer to my journey towards lessening my attachment to my objects. And lessening my attachment to my objects would sow the seed for desirelessness. Then I shall not need it. Then I'm able to open my pocket and donate huge chunks of money. Unless we try and do it, we don't know how attached we are. Many times you think of throwing something and say, no, maybe I can use it. That's attachment. But when it comes to discussing philosophy, we can discuss it and feel it. But we don't practice it. Unless we practice it, it doesn't begin to take shape. Our attachment keeps growing, becomes pernicious, vicious. I don't realize it. That's why my selfishness keeps increasing. My world becomes so important that the world outside of me, I just trash it. That doesn't matter. Couldn't care less. Attitude keeps increasing. And we got to manage that. Somebody who's too attached to money I've known always talks about donation. He's a spiritual man, very good man, not taking away anything. But look at the process of the mind. Bandhuji, I wanted to donate, but that organization has a lot of money. I wanted to donate to that ashram, but they have a lot of money. I've not heard anything. That's the only thing the person regurgitates every once or twice a year. I wanted to, but they have a lot of money. That's my attachment. So that's why knowing my limited nature without condemning it, like Bhagavan has said, you don't need to analyze the garbage you're going to throw out. That's fine. But for us mortals, yes, I don't need to analyze the garbage, but I need to know what garbage is to call it garbage. And that's why we got to identify the garbage within us to come closer to my nature, which is the false nature. But let me identify the false nature so that I can look at the true nature. And that's the subtlety of the non-dualistic dialogue. It never gives you a ready-made formula. It doesn't give you, doesn't serve you on your platter. We have to arrive at it. That's the only caveat in non-duality. Because unless we arrive at it, it'll again diminish like an object. It has to come from within. It has to come from within me. Otherwise our nature doesn't change. However hard we may try. We can only arrive at changing my nature when I understand the limitation of my nature. And many old devotees don't agree with me. They say, no, Bandhu, Bhagavan has already given us. Well, if Bhagavan is given, why aren't we losing our attachment to things? Bhagavan has given it. But Bhagavan has not said, don't try and make an effort. Bhagavan has said, nothing will happen. There's no free will also. So then just sitting there, yes, sitting there also can do it if we are that firm in the self, not going out of the self. It will happen like it happened for Bhagavan. Merged in the self. Happened for Lord Tzu. Yes, he was merged in the self. It happened for Neem Karori Baba. He was merged in the self. But we are not there. So we got to make the effort. It's like the devotee who can't wake up. I've known him for at least 10 years now. He can't wake up in the morning. 6 o'clock was too early, 8 o'clock was too early, 9 o'clock is too early. A very good devotee, very good knowledge about Ramana, everything, can't just wake up. So we got to get hold of our own nature. Any thoughts, any comments? Question number 27. Katrina, would you do justice, please?
What's the difference between inquiry and meditation? Inquiry consists in retaining the mind in the self. Meditation consists in thinking that oneself is Brahman, existence, consciousness, bliss.
Thank you, Katrina. That's pretty clear, right?
It does raise a question.
Go ahead, Frank.
Bantu.
Yeah.
It does raise a question just from practice. Many of us meditate, and sometimes combination of mantra and self-inquiry. But what it's saying is that the inquiry. See, in meditation, one can stop using mantra and then slip into no thought, no mind, nothing, except just realizing one's existence. So this is an interesting statement, and I understand what it's saying, but it seems as if it's words, so it's hard to decipher right. The difference.
Yeah, and the difference, you said it right, and the difference to understand, the paradox to be removed here is that in meditation there's duality, that I am meditating on controlling the mind or being thoughtless. And what Bhagavan is saying is that inquiry, the self-inquiry, the Vichara Marga, is keeping the mind reposed only with the fact that you are that entity, the consciousness, the bliss. Not to steer out of it, not to come out of that state of mind, but to stay with that self, that I am that Brahman, I am realized, and not wavering from it. So when we don't waver from it, when we don't oscillate, when we don't come out of that, then we cannot be attached to anything at all. Neither my existence, my money, my house, my family, my reputation, my qualifications, nothing. I'm not attached to it. I'm sans. Sans everything that belonged to me is the self. So it's a tall order, but that's the subtle message here, that Vichara Marg can keep us in the self and not coming out of it.
Yeah, I see what it is now, because I was taught that words, you are Atman, you are Brahman, you are the self. Any words are just words, and you can talk about it all day long.
Yes. Very well said. Yes. Thank you, Francis. Yes.
Thank you, Bantu.
Bhagavan has also alluded to this in Updesaram, Francis. The verse is Bheda Bhavana Sohamityaso Bhavana Bheda Pavani Mata. Verse number 8, if I'm not mistaken, of Updesaram. Where in this verse of Updesaram, he says that meditation where the feeling is that he am I, Sohamityaso, I'm the Soham, that is much more purifying than the meditation in which there's a sense of duality that I'm meditating. And here also in this talk number 27, Bhagavan is alluding to the fact that your meditation, where you are thinking, here's the key word, meditation consists in thinking. So if you're thinking that I am Satchitananda, rather than that, if you just stay in the self, that becomes the inquiry. Whenever there was no doubt Bhagavan many times said, as you all know, who is asking the question, to whom is the problem, etc., trying to bring. But many times he would say, just remove the thought that there's a problem. And then tell me, is the problem still there? It's like telling the devotee who had lost a lot of money. And again, this also we have repeated many times, but these have become mantras. Lost a lot of money and implored to Bhagavan, why did I lose money? I'm a good devotee, I worked hard, I never made any money under the table, no clandestine activity, I all earned earnest money and I lost it. And Bhagavan was just sitting there listening to him, not reacting at all. And so he pressures Bhagavan to give him some response, some solace. Bhagavan, I understand that I don't need to ask, but please say something, it'll just help me. So Bhagavan asked him, where was the money before it came to you? And he said, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. So Bhagavan said, you all remember this, right? Bhagavan said, money went back from where it had come from. It went back to the same place from where it had come from. If you think about it in a serious way, is there anything we can claim credit for in our life? Nothing. Not a wee bit of a credit can we take for anything in our life. Not my body, not my name, not my birth, not my parents, not my faith, not my kith and kin, not my relatives, not my education, my career, my success, my failures, my likes, dislikes, my idiosyncrasies. Nothing belongs to me. Nothing belongs to me. That itself is a great way of Vichara Marg. If that clarity we can begin to have, then in our dark days we are not perturbed, we are not ruffled. Maybe we could be still ruffled momentarily for shorter duration of time. And that shorter duration of time that ripple will take place because our vasanas are too deep. So we don't have a switch to say, I'm beyond it now. So there'll be some perturbance, but manageable perturbance. When it becomes manageable, I know that I'm getting the vista of that self. I'm beginning to get the kindling of that. Hari Om. Arunachala.
Arunachala.
Arunachala. Arunachala.
Arunachala.